What up is Marcus Dynasty Football Dads, and you are wondering why in the world is he sitting on a sectional with his laptop ready to go? We are going to be doing rest of season kind of rankings here. And so if you're a contender in Dynasty, if you are a redraft in a redraft league, these are all important decisions. What players would you choose for the rest of the 2021 season? We're doing half-point PPR, and I'll tell you a little bit of differences between the two, or between standard and PPR. The number one overall player, and this is not super flex, of course. This is in most leagues. I would say that they're, especially redraft leagues, they're one QB leagues. It's different when it's super flex. I mean, that's Patrick Mahomes, but Christian McCaffrey is number 101 still. Yes. The guy just keeps performing and is a top 5 running back when he's on the field. And I think with this little muscle hamstring injury, it could be a nagging injury, but it sounds like he is really close to being back. And we talk about a couple different players, Christian McCaffrey and Dalvin Cook, both coming off of injuries, and they seem to be these players that are now kind of quote-unquote injury prone, or at least will not finish full seasons anymore. And in this case, 2021, Christian McCaffrey is the 101. Kind of enough said there. And in 102 is going to be Dalvin Cook, but I understand in both situations that if you want to avoid injury. But again, when Dalvin Cook is on the field, he is a difference maker. He is a top 5 every week, it seems to be, running back. The number 3 running back, and this is a running back I've had such a hard time gauging, is Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry's plans for over 400 touches are crazy. It's just ridiculous. If you had Derrick Henry 101, which actually going on to Fantasy Pros rest of season rankings, Derrick Henry is their number 1 running back. I can totally understand that. The guy does not get hurt. How do you hurt something that is that big, that strong, that's probably not even human? They call him the Yeti because he starts to basically, when it starts getting colder, he starts getting hotter. And so Derrick Henry easily could be 101. And in fact, if I keep thinking about it, I keep thinking regrets on why he is not 101 in my rankings. But Christian McCaffrey, Dalvin Cook, both, especially in half point and full point, you're getting more work in the receiving game. But we saw Dalvin Cook. We saw Derrick Henry, a little glimpse of receiving game early this season. So maybe we'll continue that. His touches have been ridiculous. Number 4, and this is where they have Aaron Jones. I don't have Aaron Jones there. I'm going to stick with Alvin Kamara. I know his bye week is this week here, but Alvin Kamara, with Michael Thomas hopefully back after the bye week here, week 7, I think Alvin Kamara still is one of the most talented running backs, and per touch basis, he just scores ridiculous amount of points. He's used in the rushing game. Yeah, he didn't get targeted that one game in the receiving game, but I think Alvin Kamara, when you talk about safety, and when you talk about touchdown-wise, still, he is a very, very effective fantasy player. And so that's where I have him at number 4. I could see why they would say Aaron Jones, but actually, no, not really. Take that back. I can't see it with Aaron Jones. I think A.J. Dillon I think he'll be posing a little bit of a mess. I mean, you saw A.J. Dillon's been performing decently the last couple of weeks. It'll be interesting to see if that continues. You're still going to have Aaron Jones blow up games. I just think Alvin Kamara is going to be more consistent. My number 5 is not Aaron Jones still. It is going to be Austin Eckler. And the reason for it is you saw last Sunday, Austin Eckler scored a ridiculous amount of points. He had 3 touchdowns. I mean, yeah, Cleveland's defense kind of basically carried him into the end zone. But if you're talking about an offense that you want to be a part of, you want to be on high-scoring offenses because chances of touchdowns are high. And the guy that's going to be scoring touchdowns in the receiving game and the rushing game, which is running backs that you got to love, you can call him CMC light, is Austin Eckler. And so I have Austin Eckler in that position. Number 6, this is where it gets really tricky. Do you go Aaron Jones? Do you go his teammate Devonta Adams, who is, in my opinion, the easy wide receiver 1? And him and Tyreek Hill were really close, but I think Devonta Adams has kind of shown that he is the wide receiver 1. He's playing on 200-plus targets is ridiculous in 17 games. It's just absolutely ridiculous. And he hasn't even scored the crap ton of touchdowns he did last year, which he still has the opportunity to. Or do we do the kind of the Travis Kelsey the move here. This would be potentially the move here. So these are all kind of thoughts and things, especially in redraft. If you're looking at players and you're going, okay, if I have Zeke, Chubb, Aaron Jones, but I have already depth. Let's say you picked a James Robinson or Darrell Henderson, and you have maybe those 2 running backs, but you miss out on that wide receiver. This might be a good thing to be like, all right, well, if you believe Devonta Adams is more valuable than those running backs, then that would be kind of a turning point there. But I'm going to go with Aaron Jones. I'm going to go with Aaron Jones over Devonta Adams. I believe that Aaron Jones at this point, I kind of battle in my head, Aaron Jones or Zeke, Aaron Jones or Zeke. And Pollard scares me more than A.J. Dillon. And they're both going to be on really good offenses. But Pollard scares me definitely more than A.J. Dillon. And Pollard has looked decent. Now, what does that mean? It means that they're both going to be, my next pick is going to be Zeke. So when we're talking about the top 7, did I do 7? Yeah, I think I did 7, 6, wherever we're at. You're splitting hairs here. And right after Zeke is going to be Devonta Adams. I have to pick Devonta Adams. And you're talking about tiers here. You're talking about if you had a tier here, and there's vampire leagues. There's leagues that even start now, which is kind of weird leagues. I don't really understand those leagues. But this is where Devonta Adams fits, in my opinion. He's better than Chubb. He's better than kind of Najee and Jonathan Taylor, and so this is where I have Devonta Adams. And in kind of this tier with Zeke and with Aaron Jones, I am also going to put Travis Kelsey there. And they have Travis Kelsey in Fantasy Pros at 12. And I have him at 8, 9. I believe it's 9. They have Dalvin Cook at 10, which is so disrespectful. Dalvin Cook is a top 3 running back. In fact, he's number 2 in my opinion. So yeah, number 9 for Travis Kelsey, and you could easily have him above. He is a difference maker. He will probably finish out as tight end 1. Who else is going to finish there? It's Kittle's hurt. T.J. Hawkins has been a disappointment the last couple weeks. Mark Andrews had one amazing game, but that's not going to be anything crazy. In fact, I did a nice little short on Mark Andrews. And so really it's Travis Kelsey. And now the more that I think that there's no other tight ends available, the more, again, you got to have a little bit of regrets. And so Travis Kelsey, he could easily be 6 in this, but I'm going to put him 9, which probably is disrespectful. And he's had one kind of bad game. And then he was tight end 6 last week, which I guess is a bad game for Travis Kelsey. But else he's usually tight end 1. They had some big tight end blow-up games. All right, so we were at number 10, I believe. Yeah, if I did the math right. No, we were at, number 10. 7, 8, 9. Sorry, I didn't write these down. I'm just trying to go off. So the choices are Nick Chubb, who I really love. Oh, my son's crying. All right, pause. We're back, but he is sleeping now. As you can see, it's dark outside over there. So, where are we at? Where have we left off? All right, I'm not going to do too many more. I'll probably do maybe like 5-ish more. I don't know. He's moving. Maybe I'll do 5 more. I might not have a chance to do 5 more. All right, so maybe we'll just do speed round. Speed round, starting now. All right, ready? Nick Chubb, you talk about basically how many years he's been somewhat elite. Here, I'll put that up here. Maybe I can... Nope, you guys can't even see it. Nick Chubb, how many years he's been elite, how much they utilize him, and he's a stud. Nick Chubb is my next guy. Then we're going to go with Tyreek Hill. This is where I believe Tyreek Hill does separate himself. Even his bad games are... they're not horrible. He is still going to be utilized a ton in that Kansas City offense. And honestly, Kansas City does not have a defense currently. I don't know what happened. I don't know if they decided just to sell everyone off. I know Chris Jones has been hurt. They've had a couple other injuries as well. But Kansas City, they're going to be in a ton of shootouts. Did you see how they played against Buffalo? That's why Kelsey, that's why Hill are going to be amazing guys. All right, so that was 10, 11. That was 11. So let's see who we got. Diggs, Harris, Jonathan Taylor, Cooper Kupp, Justin Jefferson. At this moment, this might be the Viking telling me, but I think Justin Jefferson is super safe. Look at the sample size that he's had in a year and 6 weeks now. Or 5 weeks, I guess you'd say. The last year and a half has been absolutely amazing for Justin Jefferson. I'm going to have him over Stephon Diggs, and just because I worry with Stephon Diggs they just seem like Josh Allen runs a ton, which Kirk Cousins doesn't, but then they seem like they're passing it to Dawson Knox a ton. Emmanuel Sanders is taking a bunch of touchdowns. They still have Gabriel Davis, and they have Cole Beasley. It just seems like Stephon Diggs is not getting the amount of work and the amount of usage he got last year. Does that mean that he's bad? No, it just means that Stephon Diggs is not a top overall 3 wide receiver automatic like we thought he was in the beginning of the season. We thought he was the number 3. We thought it was Adams and Hill. You kind of switch it to wherever you want. And number 3 is kind of pretty much Stephon Diggs. And that's what you kind of basically thought. And it's not. So instead of Stephon Diggs, we're not going to go there quite yet. The questions are Najee Harris, Jonathan Taylor. And so at this moment, I'm going to go with Jonathan Taylor over Najee Harris. Sorry, people are just really, really high on Najee Harris, and I am too, but Pittsburgh's offense does struggle. He did have over 100 yards rushing last week, which was awesome. But so did I guess Jonathan Taylor had over 100 yards receiving. Jonathan Taylor, I think, is just a more complete, not even complete back. It's just hard. It's just Jonathan Taylor is a better, probably, running back, in my opinion. It's close. Najee Harris is a really good overall complete running back. Najee Harris is the next player I'm picking in redraft and picking overall for the rest of 2021. So it's like splitting hairs. But Jonathan Taylor you just look at how well that the Colts offense with injuries on their line, how well he's done behind that line. He seems like he's the runner he was the second half of last year. And he just has, we've seen it more from, I guess you could say, for Jonathan Taylor. There's more safety there. Najee Harris, that offensive line is so bad. Big Ben could literally fall apart any second. And I think that is the more risk that that's where, in my mindset, where I see more risk. And so that's why I have Najee Harris a slight tish down, and then we have Stephon Diggs, and then we're just gonna and for the reasons I mentioned. He's got Josh Allen. He's close to being way up there, but not quite. So that was 14. So let's see. 12 was Jonathan Taylor, 13 Najee Harris, 14 Stephon Diggs, and now we're kind of into this Darren Waller, Mike Williams, Cooper Kupp territory, and we'll end on these couple players, where I would like some of these players. And so at this moment, I think that the Las Vegas Raiders, which is really weird to see. I always want to say Oakland. I really think the dysfunction of losing their head coach is going to be a bigger problem than we think. So I cannot go Darren Waller at this moment, even though that he is probably the next closest thing to being a difference maker at a position. I just can't do it at this moment. Which leads us to Kupp and Mike Williams and how much I believe. And I'm just going to say Cooper Kupp because Cooper Kupp has done it into almost a majority of a season where he's been close to a wide receiver 1 overall. And so when you look at wide receivers 1 through 3, which is Debo and Mike Williams and Cooper Kupp, I think Cooper Kupp has the best chance of continuing on. I think Mike Williams is close, and so Mike Williams is going to be the next pick, and I can't believe it. He's 20 overall on here, but would I rather have Mike Williams or DeAndre Hopkins? DeAndre Hopkins? I guess not. Mike Williams it is. It's just DeAndre Hopkins has been so spread thin with, you got Rondell Moore, and then you have Christian Kirkweek, and then you got Chase Edmonds, and then you got Kyler running it all over the place, even though he had 1 yard last week, I believe it was. But that's the situation that you're a part of, and you... Cooper Kupp, I think, is in an amazing offense. At this point, you're just going to have to continue to ride the wave. And Mike Williams has been targeted. It's not like he's getting 4 catches, 135 yards, and 2 touchdowns. He's getting like 10 catches. He's getting like 15, 18 targets in a game. And that's going to go down. But if they're going to keep using him like a wide receiver 1, I can't see why he wouldn't finish as a top 5, 6 wide receiver. We kind of figure the top 2 are going to be if they stay healthy, Adams and Hill. But that leaves 3 through 6 kind of there. And so Mike Williams can be a part of that. Justin Jefferson can be a part of that. Cooper Kupp can be a part of that. There might even be, I don't think Debo. I think Debo is the least likely, which, knowing my fantasy luck, which means he'll be the one that ends up being the finisher there, which I don't believe it. I don't know where he is on the list here. I don't see him. Debo. 30th. So he's 30th on the list. Some guys that would be coming up next would be into the DJ Moore has been a stud, but Darrell Henderson is there. Swift, Mixon is kind of there if he's healthy. Barkley, we have to, again, kind of think about him, depending on how long his injury is, if he's back healthy. And the man that I said that was not going to finish top 20, and I've been 100% wrong so far, is Jamar Chase. And Jamar Chase, honestly, the thing about Jamar Chase is what I said is that he was kind of not a one-trick pony, but pretty close to it in college. Well, guess what? That one trick is really, really, really good, and it is a deep ball, and they just cannot stop it. It seems like he gets, 3 catches for 70 yards and a touchdown, which is 13, 16 points, whatever. It seems like that, and sometimes he gets 2 touchdowns. It's like he is a top 10, probably, I think, fantasy wide receiver now at this moment. I think he's 8 or something like that. It's just, they can't stop the deep ball. They can't stop it. So, at this moment, I completely have been wrong with Jamar Chase. You look at rookie rankings, who is my wide receiver 1? It was Jamar Chase. But what I put a big asterisk on was be careful with his rookie year, because they got T. Higgins, he's been hurt. They got Tyler Boyd, they're not really using him as much. They have Joe Mixon, they're going to be running a bunch through. He's now been hurt. So the path to where I thought that there was going to be some restriction has not been very restricted so far. It has been Jamar Chase land. And so that's just, I don't know why I went off on that tangent, but that's just another tangent to go on. Man, it is crazy how things change in 5-6 weeks. And in 5-6 weeks, again, we'll probably go through another video, and maybe I'll do it in 3 weeks. And you will have some of these players, especially with injuries and stuff, like Saquon was, would I rather have Saquon, or would I rather have Jonathan Taylor? Those are the kind of the questions before, as Saquon was starting to heat up, and now Saquon's hurt. So now it's there'll be more injuries, there'll be more problems. Dalvin Cook or Christian McCaffrey may have another hamstring injury, and we might have to be okay, well, do you risk? And these all depend, and some of these rankings, it's if you're 2 and 3, what is the value of Cook versus Henry? Well, I would rather have Henry, because you need to have a guy on the field. Versus if you're 4 and 1, that's an easy, okay, I'd rather have Cook, because I can lose a week or 2 and be fine. Especially, and then that's where, if I'm actually 4 and 1 or 5 and 0 or 3 and 2 in redraft leagues, I'm looking at making moves to maybe sacrifice a week, 2 weeks, and sometimes trying to strategically sacrifice. That you're not trying to lose, but you're trying to, you're trading for Saquons, you're trading for even Jerry Jeudy's, you're trading for Jeff Wilson's that have maybe very little value at this point that could blow up. You are trading for, if you can, Dalvin Cook and Christian McCaffrey. I don't think you can, but those are players that I'm putting more money onto, or putting trades into, because I think that if you can, I would rather win week 14 if you can get to the playoffs. I'd rather week win 14 and 15 and something like that, versus gain another win during the regular season. That's just my opinion. And honestly, it seems to always work. Not always work. It seems to work a lot. I've won plenty of championships, and that's not a brag, because plenty of people have won championships. It's just making these little fine strategies now are so crucial. I picked up Jeff Wilson last week because he was on the waiver wire. Those are moves that you have to make. Jerry Jeudy is now in the waiver wire process, and it's well, if you have a really good team, that's a good person to go after. Yeah, I just went off on a tangent there. All right, so again, this is Marcus Nice Football Dads. We will see you tomorrow. You still sleeping? He's moving around. All right. Well, see you tomorrow, guys.
Now turn up.